Hey everybody. This is Ian McHenry from Beyond Pricing, bringing you episode 6 of This Week in Airbnb. It's been a great run. We've had some amazing guests on, and if you haven't already checked them out, make sure to check out those back episodes, get caught up. We reference it a lot, and there's a lot of knowledge there. This is basically a crash course in the the inside of Airbnb, and lots of experts coming on here. Today, we are incredibly lucky to have Emily from Guesthop. Guesthop is one of the earliest players in this kind of emerging ecosystem of people. They manage short-term rentals. First, they started in San Francisco. They've expanded, to the outer reaches of the Bay Area. Now they're ready to take over the world. So we're really excited to have Emily.
San Diego. We're just starting in San Diego.
Just starting in San Diego. That's awesome news.
And Seattle.
There you go. Perfect.
Random city choices, but it's where the people are. It's where the good hosts are that can be our city managers.
That's great. Well, it's exciting to see that. I've known Emily for I think the last 2 years or so since you started. So it's really great to have you on the show. And great to get your perspective on stuff.
Yeah, thank you. And check out guesthop.com for all you out there that need help managing your Airbnbs.
Definitely. And we'll post links and everything at the end of the episode.
Sure.
So wanted to get started. Gonna kick things off. Emily, you have dozens of listings, so you get to see a lot of this stuff. So I'm really glad we have you on. The first thing we want to talk about is there's been a lot of outrage kind of on Twitter, and I think it's extended into coverage on a number of media publications about I don't know if we want to call it that, but Airbnb Payout Gate. There's been, for those that don't know, there's kind of people are reporting, significant delays in getting their payouts from Airbnb. And for those not fully familiar, on the host side, typically what happens is as a guest, you book, your credit card gets charged, and then Airbnb kind of holds those funds until you check in. And then they're released within 24 hours, I think is what they claim. And the reason for that, right, is so that versus back in the day when you would kind of book something on Craigslist and send a check to somebody, you didn't know if they were a scammer or whatnot. Here, you've checked in, you showed up, the place is there, and that's the only time that they release the payments. That keeps people from throwing up fake listings and collecting this money and then it not being anything.
You're supposed to get it within 24 business hours.
24 business, is that what it is?
So if you have a booking that starts on Friday, you're not going to get a payout till Monday.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Got it.
You know what I mean? Like it's not 24 hours. It's business day. So if it's a holiday or a weekend, you don't get payouts.
Then you don't get it, which you expect.
Which is standard, but they should change the 24-hour thing because it's not really true.
It's one business day, right? And so, what people are seeing is, at first the response was, oh, it's an issue with, with PayPal. It's not an issue with Airbnb. And then I think finally they said, yes, we're having issues with our payouts right now. Emily, did you see this with any of your accounts? I mean, you have so many. I don't know if you noticed when they hit.
Yeah. Oh, you hit a chord here. We started, so I don't know, it just wasn't obvious at first because we don't always cross-check every booking when the payouts come. We're not constantly making sure they come when they're supposed to. And I started looking into it. It just happened to one of my host friends. She'd been waiting for a couple weeks.
A couple weeks?
Yes. And so just wait, it gets better. So I just discovered one last week that we hadn't gotten paid out for an April booking.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't, so if you look at your transaction history, it'll show you everything that's been paid out. But if you cross-check it to all of your actual bookings, there might be some missing there. So the way to see it, you start looking in future transactions, and all these dates were showing up on multiple accounts. So anyway, in the past 5 months, it's totaled over 15,000
Holy moly.
that have been literally like weeks and months late.
And have they eventually come, or are there some that are just sitting there?
No, they didn't come until I called Airbnb and made a big racket about it, because I was like, what's going on here? And they said, oh, we don't know. This must have been a mistake. And, within 24 hours of me calling with each one, money was released. And it's really ridiculous because they say that this happens when something changes in a booking, or a guest calls in and says, we're having trouble getting into the unit, or there's something going on, whatever. They add a day. The alteration doesn't get accepted right away. And then all the funds get frozen.
Oh, interesting.
But then they don't get released unless somebody actually goes in there and manually releases them.
And so is there any indication on the user interface on the dashboard that says, hey, these are disputed, or these are being held, or these are frozen? No.
The only way we've been finding out about it is now we're systematically going through every single listing to make sure in the transaction history under future transactions that there's no past ones that say pending. So the one I just discovered the other day from April, it said pending. And I was like, what's going on? There was no issue with this guest at all, except that he added a day to his booking. Or it was something simple like that. Like he added a day, or he took a day off.
Interesting.
And so I am asking Airbnb, I was like, could you please, recognize at least compensation with some travel credit or something?
Right.
And they said, oh, I'm trying to get to a higher level about this because it's happened so many times. And they say, well, it's not our policy to compensate for mistakes like this. And I'm like, yeah, but it's also in your policy to pay out in 24 hours.
Right.
And now it's our responsibility to be checking on them, which it is. Now it is
more difficult when you're managing dozens and dozens of these.
Yeah. It's crazy. So now it's just becoming part of our routine to check future transactions all the time and make sure there's no past ones pending.
That's crazy. And so I guess there's sort of two issues there that we're seeing. One is there's all these past reservations that aren't necessarily getting paid out at all.
Yeah.
Are you still seeing, reservation or people that are checking in right now? Are you still seeing those funds being delayed by several days? I know for me, I have a place in Santa Cruz that I'm going to move to soon.
Mm-hmm.
And that place had I think a 3-day delay on the check-in there, but I did eventually send those sorts of funds. That was a couple weeks ago when this started. Are you still seeing delays?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what do you think?
I'm not posting on Twitter and getting all. We just have to keep calling them. I don't know why it's happening. There's there's a lot of accounting glitches within the Airbnb system. Even with the payouts being a couple dollars off here and there is pretty typical.
That's interesting. Does that, let's talk about a couple dollars off. It's really amazing what they're doing. We have to give credit to Airbnb there. What are they projecting? $900 million in revenue, and they take 10% ish. It varies from the guests, and 3% that's credit card transactions. Anyway, if we say 10%, they're probably doing $90 billion of transactions in dozens of currencies. And not only that, are they, somebody pays, but they're holding that money sometimes for months on end. They're being paid in euros. You have a European guest, and then paying to you in dollars. It's really complicated. And so the currency thing is really tough. If you have payouts that are off by $1 or $2, what, as a host, as a manager, what's your reaction? Is that okay? Do you not bother with it, or is that something you're like, gosh, I wish it was right down to the penny?
We're not bothering with it. We were for a while, but it was just becoming such a waste of time because I'm looking at one now. It's saying it was $129 a night. It's $130 a night. Like where did that random odd number come up? How did that happen?
Does it ever work in your favor? Do you get paid out?
Yeah. Sometimes we get a couple dollars more. We can't understand how it's working out like that because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Numbers are numbers. It shouldn't be a variable. There shouldn't be.
Well, I'll put in, I'll speak well of Airbnb for dealing with that because we're dealing with it right now. We're now in we now handle almost a dozen different currencies with beyond pricing, and getting everything to tie out exactly to the dollar, to this penny, is really, really difficult because currencies and exchange rates and foreign transaction fees, it all it's a huge challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
But the payout sides, I mean, it seems like that's that. What do you think? Like, if presumably they'll fix this, right? They'll figure it out. They probably just hit some breaking point, something like that. I assume they'll fix it. Do you think? We've seen a lot of issues lately. Where I think people have put trust in Airbnb, and Airbnb's done a lot to get everyone's trust. That was very important in this space. But we've seen things in Barcelona, 2,000 guests being kicked off. We saw Kelly Campen, who's a super host and going to be speaking at Airbnb Open, getting kicked off the platform.
Yeah.
We're starting to see this issue with payouts. Do you think that this will send people towards other platforms, or do you think they're just so far ahead that everyone will, they're like Google and search? Like, where else are you going to go?
We recently got shut down, for almost 2 days.
Oh,
and all of it was just like one after another, all of our accounts, and we have many accounts because we're trying to not keep them all in one account anymore.
Right.
That was causing too much, bringing too much notice to it. People were it was bringing too much attention to us. Yep. And we were showing up on those different Inside Airbnb and all these different Airbnb scraping sites.
Yep.
So we're separating them out. But anyway, we got shut down too. And after lots of calls to Airbnb, them claiming it was a mistake, they didn't know why. After a meeting with the CTO and product development people, they also claimed that it was a mistake. But they did say that they did want to know if we had been party to any evictions, right, or tenant evictions or any situations like that, because they said some of the other property managers that really actually did intentionally get kicked off had been party to some controversial things like that.
I mean, it seems like a lot of gusto on Airbnb's part to play the regulator here, right? I mean, that's one step removed. One is saying, hey, you need a license to operate this place, and you need to put that license, in places that have this established infrastructure. I'm in Santa Cruz; it's very established. You post it. A lot of vacation towns are this way. It's one thing to say, hey, you can't list without that. The same way you can't, list your services on a freelancer site, without putting in your social security number so that they can issue a 1099. Same thing on Airbnb. They can't pay you out with that, right? All of that stuff sort of makes sense. But to say, hey, we suspect that you could be potentially managing a place where the person who owned it kicked out a tenant previously, saying they were going to live in it, but instead they're listing on Airbnb, therefore we're removing this listing. That seems pretty far from and very circumstantial.
Also, considering that Airbnb is not even requiring you to have your registration number
right
in your listing. But I think it's really a heated time right now because the election coming up and because Airbnb just really doesn't want bad press more than anything.
Yeah.
That I think it was more that than a legal or tenants' rights protection
Yeah.
issue.
I mean, where do you
But
think Airbnb is going with this? I mean, they've had sort of a history of supporting, and again, you know, I've been meaning to do a piece for news media to understand, hey, this is what's going on with Airbnb. This is how the ecosystem looks, right?
yeah,
And you know, to talk about property managers, people often see that, oh, this is a terrible thing. They often confuse a property manager with somebody who is subletting, you know, renting out a dozen apartments and then subletting it on Airbnb to try to make an arbitrage and make a profit margin on that, right?
Mhm.
That's very different than someone who like Guesthop, like Pillow, like MyVR Host, like Flat, like the dozens of partners, you know, that we work with too, that are there helping, helping with cleaning, helping with guest inquiries. And if you chop it all up, you know, that's all it is. You know, if are they going to get angry at Handy for cleaning places? No, you know, it's all, and I know how you know, when you started, Emily, right? You know, you started way back, and it was just what most people do, which is, hey, you know, if you can't be there to drop off a key for someone who's staying, Emily, do you mind dropping off that key for me? Oh, do you mind letting the cleaner in? Do you, hey, if they can you be on call if you know, if any emergencies come up or they have any questions, right?
Yeah, oh, totally. I mean, it just was a natural progression here that all my neighbors needed help. They wanted to do this, but they couldn't do it unless they had some support, some help.
Yep.
And you know, that's how Guesthop started. It was just like people needed. I'm such a big advocate for Airbnb, and I was telling everybody I knew about it.
Yeah.
And like a lot of those people work or they travel, and there's no way for them to do this, but they have the space.
Right.
So it definitely. And so does that make us people taking advantage of the situation? Does that mean that we're taking advantage of the housing crisis or whatever is happening? That
and all these
they're
things
blaming us for.
Right, and all these things kind of get folded into one, and it's really easy to kind of look at those people that have a lot of listings under a single name. And you know, we saw this in LA, and we saw this elsewhere. Well, we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, in most of these places, I don't know. Do you think that they're going to win these battles? Because it seems like, you know, they are, you know, they're focusing, you know, the way that they make good PR is saying, hey, we're just sharing an extra room or an in-law unit, right? Do you think that Airbnb, let's say Airbnb said, you know what, no entire apartments, or let's say the San Francisco law of 90 days was the limit, and Airbnb was only filled with people with that rented out their entire place for 90 days or less, and 90 total days of renting out, and people with a spare bedroom. Do you think Airbnb would be as big as it is now if that was the limit?
No way. I mean, the company started as breaking the law, breaking a lease, you know?
Right.
Started, you know, on the grounds of we're just trying to make ends meet here, and maybe it's not fully legal, but it's also not a bad thing because we're, you know, decent people are coming. They need a place to stay. They're business travelers or family friends or whatever. So no, it wouldn't be as big, and it will be interesting to see how Airbnb is going to proceed because they desperately want to be on the good side of the city and not have bad press, but still at least half of the listings on there right now are not legal. Either because it's a lease subletting thing or city laws.
Right. So you know, most leases, to clarify what Emily's saying here,
all standard ones, all standard, at least California, any California standard lease has a no subletting clause. And I would think that probably most states are very similar.
Right, exactly. And that's because the apartment owners are looking out for liability and all these other sorts of things. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
So, yeah.
Now, do you think, let's say Airbnb keeps, cracking down on this and cleaning out the system, will people flood to other platforms?
I mean, when that first happened to us, it was so shocking that we were definitely looking into it. But once we met with them at Airbnb and realized that another part of their issue with property managers like this is that they are on multiple platforms.
Oh, interesting.
And Guesthop is exclusive to Airbnb. And we cleared that up with them.
So that's interesting.
And they did say that it's there's a conflict of interest there, that these other companies are also cross marketing on other platforms too. So they're not. That's a threat to them.
I mean, that seems very draconian, right? I mean, Expedia, if Expedia kicked off everyone that was also on Booking.com, they'd have no business.
Well, they're not saying we are kicking people off for this,
right?
But they are saying that this is a threat to them.
I mean, this is
what makes them nervous about dealing with companies like us in this ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you're on, I get the business rationale, right? You want to get all of those bookings for somebody. You want to own that relationship. Yeah. The more attached to Airbnb owners and managers are, the better for their business. But I mean, it's also, if you were going to do that, it seems like you'd need to get everything else right? That people are getting paid out when they expect to get paid.
I know, exactly.
That they're not going to randomly decide to kick you off. People have, when they kicked off in LA, one of our partners, AE Hospitality there, and I've said this before multiple times, that kind of sent shudders through the whole vacation rental industry, because Ari there is well known in the U.S. Vacation Rental Manager Association. And because they control the payments, because they control even the emails and the contact info for all of these guests, which one way is great. You have it's a seamless experience. It's a really good experience for both. But if they decide, hey, you don't meet our standards, you don't meet whatever it is, there was hundreds of thousands of dollars of bookings that get canceled. And to build a business purely on that, I mean, obviously you are, and you have good channels to keep that going, Emily.
Yeah.
But it's, that's the hard thing. It seems like normally it's, I don't know. I'm just thinking of this right now. Like, what other platforms do is reward you for being exclusive, right? Facebook launched. If you guys seen this now, they launched the videos that are Facebook native, right? So it used to be you put in your YouTube link and you just watch the YouTube within there. Now, if you load it up directly on Facebook, those publishers are getting their content shown, much more frequently for doing that. Presumably Airbnb can do a similar thing, where if you're exclusive to Airbnb, you show up way higher in results, all these other sorts of things.
I mean, I'm thankful that they are allowing us to still be doing business with them. But doing something like that where we'd be preferred, be a preferred vendor or whatever, property manager, that would be interesting and beneficial to us. But I think they are considering that kind of thing, but charging more, like raising our percentage if they did something like that.
Yep, which gets us kind of to a unconfirmed rumor. There's screenshots out there. I haven't seen it. Emily, I know we talked before. You haven't seen this. So and we were hoping to get Matteo on today. Unfortunately, had a conflict. He writes this great blog all about Airbnb. I'll put a link to it in the comments. But he had a piece that said that he's seeing under, I believe under preferences, the option to settings, the option to have your listing, publicized on Google AdWords or promoted on Google, where they pay for that. And that instead of the 3%, it would be, I forget what it was, between 12 and 15% charged to the owner. And presumably they would also be charging the 10% or so to the guest. And that the idea is, hey, if you ever search, hotel room, San Francisco, you'll see the Booking.com, Expedia, Orbitz, they all spend a ton of money to try to get you to
click on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Click on them.
And usually, like for hotels, hotels will list on Expedia, and they'll, Starwood or the Westin in San Francisco will also buy AdWords themselves, but that'll be for direct bookings. They don't get charged a commission for those bookings. And typically it's, Expedia will pay for placement as well, to get you to go to Expedia and check out all the different hotels there. But then they eat the cost, right? That's part of their cost of marketing. And that's what helps drive people to Expedia. And that's why, you want your hotel to be on Expedia, because they have the most traffic, right? Presumably, why do you think Airbnb might do this? Do you think this is, let's start with that. Emily, do you think this is real?
I am suspicious about this.
Yeah.
And I think there would be more banter going on Airbnb's blog, maybe, or even
the forum.
The forums or the groups.
Yep.
And I haven't seen anything outside of what's on that website, allaboutairbnb.com.
Yep.
Is the first place I've seen it. I'm not saying it's not true, but I just think there would be more talk about it amongst us hosts, and maybe it's just the so select few in the beta testing right now that it hasn't really gotten out there yet.
Yep. Well, let's put it out there to all of our listeners. If you're a host and you see this,
let us know.
Let us know.
Take a screenshot of your account and go to your transaction. Transaction history.
Settings.
Yeah, go to account settings, and then in account settings, go to settings.
Yep.
So, and that's where you would see it. And if you do have it, screenshot it and send it to us, because so the they're saying 12 to 15%. Like, that's a huge increase over the 3%.
Yep.
And why the range? There will be 12 to 15%. Like, how is that determined? The amount that you charge for this, and also how do we know
that it came from
who clicked what?
Right.
And this is very disappointing if it's true, actually.
Why is that?
Because it's contrived. It's going away from the authenticity and the realness of Airbnb. It's what's happening with Yelp now. That's not as authentic anymore as it used to be, because you can pay to get to the top of Yelp.
I see what you're saying.
Yelp is the yellow pages now. You pay to get noticed. You pay to get your reviews up to the top, and there's even suspicion that you can pay to have some bad reviews removed.
Right. Yeah,
and they don't show all of your good reviews anymore on Yelp. If somebody reviewed you and they're a new Yelp user, they don't show it.
Right. And I mean,
because they suspect that person only went on there to review you because maybe they know you or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? And I mean, that makes sense, right? From a consumer perspective, there's a person that's done 125 reviews, although it could be some random person that gets paid to do reviews. Presumably that should show up higher. With Airbnb, we see this now with Expedia, with all the hotel booking sites, and it's really interesting. If you look at those, and you have with Airbnb too, you can't sort by price anymore.
I know, yeah.
because they're on a commission, and they want to make as much per transaction as possible. And so, and I think they also look at conversion metrics and these sorts of things. But on Expedia, again, there's kind of a pay to play, and so you'll show up higher in results if you pay a little bit extra, which, I mean, it's great for them. They make the revenue. I mean, what do you think about that from the guest perspective? I'm sure you're probably a guest as well as I am.
Yeah.
When I'm searching, if I knew that somebody, and again, this isn't what Airbnb is doing, that the idea is they're just paying to have those ads be shown on Google, and then people who are Googling come to your listing and book it. But let's just say hypothetically, they did decide to do an Expedia, and you could pay to be on that first page. As a guest, what's that experience? What would you do then? Like, would you want them to say sponsored? Or would you
probably
would you be like, I don't want to see any of this?
Probably like with Google Ads, it says sponsored ad.
Right.
And if I want to thoroughly do research, I don't click on those.
Right. Yeah. Would you avoid that? Yeah, let's say they did that, or you would be like, you'd be suspicious, right? Who's this person that needs to pay to get their listing higher?
Yeah, definitely. Because the reviews should speak for themselves.
Yep.
And what your listing is should speak for itself. So if you're having to pay 5 times the price to get up there, what's wrong with your listing?
Right. Which is,
I would definitely probably avoid those. And also on that thing, it says something about opt in, opt out. Like you might not have that option.
Right. Like it might be default opt in.
Might be default, just like this forced instant book test that they've been doing.
Yeah. So talk about that, Emily. You mentioned that to me before
we had
the podcast. What are you seeing here? Do you have screenshots?
No. Darn. Why didn't I? Oh, I have to dig because maybe I think I did send it to the host. So a couple of our new hosts, we created their listings for them, with them. They were very involved, pictures, everything. We went through the criteria of the types of guests we would choose, the types of guests we wouldn't.
Yep.
Whether they would have multiple reviews, verified ID, profile pics.
Yep.
And all of a sudden we start getting instant books. There was no option to turn instant book on or off. And when we called Airbnb about it, they said that they were doing this beta program with new listings, especially where it would be mandatory instant book.
They told you that.
They told me that. And they said there's no way to turn it off. And I was like, okay, well then I guess we're going to have to shut these accounts down because we can't afford to be getting guests in here that we're not vetting, that we're not reviewing. And they said, well, you can do that, but we can't turn it off. And so after a couple months, after we got a few bookings in these, I think it happened with 3 different accounts, then the instant book option appeared. So there was no option to turn instant book on or off. It was just on. So when you went to that listing on Airbnb, if you were doing a search, the lightning bolt showed up.
Right.
But on our side, there was no option to turn it on or off. There wasn't that instant book screen. So we didn't even know that we had it at first. And so we went on looking as a guest.
Because usually it says, when you go in and manage your listing, it's under calendar and pricing. There's an instant book option. And you just it used to be a toggle on or off. Now it looks just
there still is that.
Say,
I
got one now. Try instant book. Instant book is on. And then only guests recommended by other hosts. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I think, I get the idea, right? Which is, and this is why Airbnb, did so well was, the experience on other sites, for when you're trying to book a vacation rental was pretty painful. You couldn't book it like a hotel, and a lot of people really want that, especially in urban areas where, maybe you're staying for 3 days, 4 days. It's not like you're planning your once a year week-long vacation to Hawaii, right? And so there, maybe you're okay, writing to 10 different places, hoping one of them gets back to you. Calendars aren't up to date. It's this really long process.
Yes.
Airbnb is trying to make it really simple, so you can go on, find a place you like, and then just book it, right? But personally, when we were managing places in San Francisco, our criteria, we used Instant Book, and they had a criteria which was 3 reviews, because we figured once you're on your 3rd review, all positive, like you're good, and a verified ID. I think it was 3 reviews and verified ID. You're like, great, this is a real person, it's verified. There's 3 people. Just one, somebody can fake one, right? You can get a fake review, get your friend to review you. And that worked pretty well for us. Why do you think they're going more towards just anybody?
I know, because now the criteria for Instant Book is it's not enough.
Right.
For us.
It's not enough for your typical screening, right?
No, I mean, some of the places we actually do allow it more. And it's places that maybe they're not as fancy, or
it doesn't have as many personal effects.
There's no personal stuff in it. It's not a person's place. We will allow it, or if it's or if we just need to fill in days, we'll turn it on and off.
Oh, interesting.
But we don't like that they don't have to have verified ID.
Yep.
And they don't have to have profile pictures.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, those are kind of very core basic things to the system.
Yeah. And some people that only do longer rentals, like they want 30 days or more, we absolutely don't ever do Instant Book, especially in San Francisco, where it's kind of dangerous. You don't know if you accept a tenant that you have not reviewed. That could be a scary situation with how rent control laws are here.
Yep. Absolutely, with the 30 day one. So it's interesting.
But I don't we also, it does, we understand and know that it brings you to the top of the search rankings.
Right.
When you have Instant Book on, you can almost guarantee you'll get a booking.
Which is incredible, right? Like, I mean, that's great if you're okay with it, and you've probably seen this in San Diego too, where that's a traditional vacation rental market. A lot of those are second homes on Pacific Beach, Mission Beach, right? Those are ones where it's like, hey, fine, and we know a lot of managers that list their places on Booking.com, which there's no vetting there. It's just they just send you bookings. It's just like a hotel. And that works for sort of those places. But I mean, it's really, it's really amazing, that you're able to get all of that.
Those same guests might have booked another place that didn't have Instant Book if that place was at the top of the search rank.
True. It's true, right?
It's just people are in a hurry, and they're not gonna spend a lot of time looking at places. So, I think that Airbnb needs to consider that too, that it's a little unfair to the other people that want to be more involved in picking their guest. And also consider the response rate. Like maybe people that have 90% plus response rate, maybe they get to the top even if they don't have Instant Book.
Yeah. Yep.
That would, if the guest knows that this is a engaged host, and they need to answer quick. This is somebody that always answers within an hour.
Yep.
And they see their place come to the top. They might pick that over an Instant Book one.
Right.
Because it's a better place.
Right. Exactly. And, presumably Airbnb is, they have a bunch of really smart people there with, big data backgrounds that are looking at all of these. And there's been some, I know Barr there has written some good pieces on sort of how they think about conversion and all those sorts of things. And obviously their goal is to get the highest conversion rate, so that the most people that come are actually booking places. And so, that's why they're doing that. But like you said, if for whatever reason you get shot down to the 3rd page of results, you might never get a booking versus someone on the 1st page. So it's kind of The fact that we're even talking about, and people are so adamant about changing Airbnb rather than leaving Airbnb, I think probably says a lot, right? That it's for all the faults, people would rather see Airbnb change and get better and kind of meet their needs rather than say, forget this, I'm going elsewhere.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we love Airbnb. We love the sites. We love the community.
Yep.
There's so much good about it than so much more good than bad, for sure.
Yep.
But this whole AdWords thing is definitely discouraging if it's true.
We'll see. Hopefully, it won't be a default option. That would be a big commission. Well, we'll see. I want to kind of throw this stuff up on the forum. If you're listening, feel free to reply in comments or email Ian at beyondpricing.com or Emily at Guesthop.com with any tips, and we'll report back if we hear anything from our community.
Yes, please.
One last piece of news I wanted to talk about was Airbnb acquired another company. They acquired sort of a small company. They actually have a really awesome engineer there who used to be at Facebook, but they're shutting down the business. It was what was their name, man? Vamo.
Yeah, so weird.
Well, I mean, and so it's I'm, full disclosure, I know the person that works on acquisitions there. She's a good friend of one of my wife's good friends, and came from Dropbox previously. Over at Dropbox, I know when Dropbox was doing acquisitions, they acquired Mailbox and some other kind of companies that could really help them build out their suite of products and expand that, and they would keep those products going. So far, with the exception of maybe CrashPatter, which was in the UK that they bought early on, and Nabewise, which turned into kind of their neighborhood guides thing. It seems like they've just been doing acqui-hires to try to get engineering talent. What do you think about that, Emily? Is that could you ever imagine Airbnb buying, another company to launch a new product line? Do you think they would buy somebody like a Guesthop that works on the service side? What do you think, or do you think Airbnb will just try to build everything themselves, kind of take the Apple approach there?
Well, they've kind of partnered with Handy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I don't think they really want to be in the service industry. Yeah. But if I were Airbnb, I'd buy more engineers to build tools for companies like Guesthop to help us.
Interesting.
To help us be better, to be able to work together better.
What tool would you like to see Airbnb build that would help companies like Guesthop?
The site is not really designed for multiple listings in accounts. Right. And it's the interface. It doesn't make it simple for you to have many listings in an account. Yep. And also, if you have to have many accounts, we think there should be some kind of business account hub so that it can all be integrated into one login. Yeah. And also we need more dedicated support by Airbnb. We need to be escalated immediately to the higher tiers, because when we call in about a problem, there's really a problem. Right. Yep. Yeah. It's not just, hey, we don't know how to use the site. It's not because we need a link to your help FAQs. Yep. Which is what they try to do every time. Like with this payment thing, it must be a PayPal problem. It must be this. I'm like, no, we didn't get the payments. They're not in our accounts. We know that they should be there. And that's a great point. And that's a great idea. And I'm going to predict that Airbnb is going to add this in the next 3 months. Let's see if it happens. For super hosts, that seems like one of the biggest things. They know who they're, they have over a million listings, but they don't have, they have, I would guess, tens of thousands
of Superhost, right? And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
if they did what however you feel about it, airlines, if you're a platinum on, United, sorry, it's not platinum, but you know what I mean, or platinum at Starwood, you literally have a separate line that you call.
That's what we need.
And so I think they're going to be smart. They're really good about this. I think they are going through customer service growing pains. We've heard a lot of that. I'm sure it's just exploded, and that's one of the hard things when you get that big. But I'll put my money on the fact that you'll see that roll out soon. Maybe announced at Airbnb Open. I have no inside information. I'm throwing it out there. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we want to be a partner. We already are a partner of Airbnb, whether they like it or not. So if they would recognize that, and build more that would make this possible, we are bringing hosts and listings in that would not be there otherwise. We're bringing listings that people would not post. They would not do this if it wasn't for Guesthop.
That's an excellent point. People are intimidated by it. It seems like a lot of work, and companies like Guesthop, say, hey, just hand us the keys. We'll take care of it, right? We'll take care of it while you're gone. We'll take care of it, in whatever situation.
All you have to do is spend the money that's getting deposited into your account. That's your job. Keep your place up, maintained, and nice. And collect money.
and you guys take care of the rest.
Well,
that's a great segue. Emily, you've been a fantastic guest. It's always wonderful to have folks like you on. I know you're incredibly busy, and it's really tough managing Airbnbs. You probably just got a call from a guest that has something going on.
I've got
or is locked out. So
four while we're on the phone here. So
there you go.
But thank you, I appreciate it, and check us out on guesthop.com and Airbnb. I hope you're listening too.
They are.
All right, have a good day.
Are listening, but yeah, definitely check out Guesthop if you're in San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, or if you're in another place and you're want them to come there, hop on, shoot them a line, shoot Emily a line. Emily at Guesthop.
We're looking for super hosts in all cities that are interested in starting Guesthop there.
Oh, great.
Guesthop.
Local city managers. If you guys want to kind of expand, go beyond your own place and help other hosts around you do it, get in touch. Is it all right for them to email you directly? I just gave out your email. Hope you're okay with that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Just email our website directly. Perfect. And we'll post all that there.
Have a good day.
Thanks a lot, Emily. This has been a wonderful episode. Until next time, thanks for listening to This Week in Airbnb. Take care, everyone.
All righty. See ya.